حكيم انتوا عرفتوا ما شاء الله تبارك الله الشيخ حمزة من فترة، كم سنة تقريبا كان معرفتكم به؟
في الحقيقة أنا أتذكر أننا كنا نسافر معا في إسبانيا وفي المغرب في أواخر السبعينات، لعله كان في سنة 79 يعني في أيام الشباب، كنا ما شاء الله أقوياء شباب، وزرنا بعض المشاهد الإسلامية في البلدين وبعض العلماء، وزرنا سويا الشيخ الشاذلي النيفر في تونس حسب ما أتذكر. ثم ذهبت إلى مصر ودرست هناك في معهد، واتجه الشيخ حمزة إلى باديته في موريتانيا، وركب جمله وحمل معه الكتب والمخطوطات، ما شاء الله صار إماما. وكما تعلمون لا يزال يكرس الكثير من أوقاته مع كتبه وشيوخه وطلب العلم من المهد إلى اللحد، ولكن أكثر نشاطه الآن في التوعية وفي الدعوة إلى الله تعالى. فهو سبقني في هذا، أنا ما زلت في المدرسة. شاهدتم، هو يعتبر عندنا المرشد العام، يعني هو الذي ينظر إليه المسلمون الشباب خاصة في العالم الناطق باللغة الإنجليزية، الذين يريدون أن يجدوا من يفتيهم في قضايا عصرية تحيروا فيها. فهو فاق درجة العلماء التقليديين الذين جاءونا بفقههم وعقائدهم وتراثهم الجميل، لأنه تمكن من الجامعة بين الحضارتين بصورة بناءة، واستطاع أن يربط بين الإنجازات الفكرية الموجودة في التراث الإسلامي والتحديات والاكتشافات والاتجاهات الفكرية السائدة في العالم المعاصر. فهذا إنجاز نادر، ونحن دائما ندعو الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يكثر أمثال الشيخ حمزة، لأننا كأمة ليس المسلمون في الغرب فقط، بل أحسب أن الكثير من الذين تأثروا بالحضارة الغربية في الشرق في حاجة أيضا إلى مثل الشيخ حمزة، الذي يستطيع أن يلقي ضوءا على طريق نحن شئنا أم أبينا سالكوه، وهو التعايش السلمي أو البناء بين الحضارة التي لا يمكن الفرار منها، وهي الحضارة العالمية الغربية، حضارة العولمة من ناحية، ومن ناحية أخرى التمسك الشامل والمخلص بقواعد ديننا الذي هو يعني أعز شيء عندنا. فهو من أبرز من يدعو إلى هذا الطريق، وكما تشاهدون الناس يسرعون ويكبون على شراء أشرطته وتسجيلاته وأفلامه، فهو صار لا شك أن له شعبية أكثر من أي داعية إلى الله آخر في البلاد الغربية.
I've known Shaykh Hamza for almost a quarter of a century, for almost 25 years. We met in Granada, Spain. He has always been, for me, one of the most important people in my life. Although he's younger than I, he's always been like a mentor to me. He's always been a giver of intellectual gifts and spiritual gifts. And I think in my life, especially as I look back over it, certainly the fact that God blessed me to know Shaykh Hamza and to love Shaykh Hamza and to be close to Shaykh Hamza, this will be the high note of my life.
What makes Shaykh Hamza unique? I mean, what's his strength? What is his strength? Why is he?
Shaykh Hamza is a person that God has given acceptance in the hearts of people, especially of non-Muslims, especially of the American people. And he is a person of tremendous sincerity. He is a person whose tongue speaks what is in his heart. And he is a person of great brilliance, tremendous insight, and he is a genius. He is a person that has an incredible capability to bring the pearls out of the sea and to find the gems that are hidden in the center of the earth. He's just one of the most most beautiful people that I have ever known and will ever know and that I've been around. And one of the things that I was honored with in my life is to be around Shaykh Hamza in the company of great sheikhs like al-Habib Ahmed Mashhoor al-Haddad and others. And I have also heard from them great praise of Hamza as the wonderful person that he is.
فالشيخ حمزة هو درس في الشرق، في موريتانيا، في الجزائر، في الإمارات، في السعودية، في بلدان شتى، وثقافته عميقة، ثقافته الإسلامية عميقة، وكذلك هو يعني لديه ثقافة غربية والعلمانية عميقة كذلك، وهو يجمع بين خيرين، فهو يقدم الإسلام لأفراد هذا المجتمع، خاصة أبناء المهاجرين المسلمين من باكستان، من البلدان العربية والإسلامية. كذلك لديه إخلاص، يعني أنا لا أقول هذا يعني مجملة أو يعني مبالغة، بس يعني هو يعني لا يملك شيء من الدنيا إلا قليلا، يعني تفكيره ونيته واتجاهه كلها من أجل خدمة الإسلام، لا يفكر في مصالحه الشخصية أبدا، في مصالح الناس، مصالح المسلمين. أخ فاضل الكريم أظن يميل إلى العزلة في حياته الشخصية، لو كان في غرفة مع الكتب يكتفي بذلك ويرضى بذلك، وكما يعني وكذلك يختلط مع الناس، بس يميل إلى العزلة. أي نعم.
ما شاء الله. يعني هذا البيت الصيفي،
هذا بيت أمي.
في الصيفي يعني، ولا هي ساكنة هنا؟
لا هي دائما
هنا ما شاء الله.
Oh, Hamza.
How are you doing, Mom?
Very good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. This is Kaswara al-Khatib.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet
From
you.
Jeddah. So I wanted to
Fine, thank
Good,
you.
alhamdulillah.
introduce you. Unfortunately, the other person who's in the film, he couldn't come up.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, he went up to Big Sur. But
that's a
I
nice
thought we
place
could
to
go
be.
see Kathleen.
Well, why don't we walk up to the lake? It's so
Okay.
beautiful out now.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
walk up
Okay.
and see her.
Sure.
Good to see you, Mom.
طيب احنا يعني حاليا معنا والدة الشيخ حمزة.
نعم.
إليزابيث.
نعم.
وهي ما شاء الله عمرها كم شيخ حمزة؟
84.
84 ما شاء الله، الله يديها الصحة والعافية إن شاء الله ويخليها ليكم يعني بإذن الله.
Elizabeth, thanks for giving us the opportunity to come and meet with you and ask you a little bit about Shaykh Hamza and his background. You have a beautiful place here. I mean,
thank you.
And as they say, we are a reflection of how we were brought up. If you can just tell us, how was Shaykh Hamza as a child? I mean, when he was young and growing up, how was he? What interested him? What kind of interest he had? And
well, specific things I remember. One, he was very curious.
Yeah.
And he was always asking why. He always wanted to know why things were. And he was never satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
When you answer one question, he had another,
Yeah?
just one after the other. And he was a great talker.
Mm-hmm.
He loved to talk and loved to ask questions, and he had great adventures. He was an adventurer. When we would go out, Hamza somehow wandered away because he saw something to interest him.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, when we were at the fair, he disappeared, and the rest of the children and I went all over looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
When we finally found him, he was sitting with the police officer eating an ice cream cone. So, he would just be an adventurer and take off. We were always looking for him. And one of the things that really stood out in my mind, I've never really gotten over, was when he was about 11 or 12. He was an avid reader, and he told me that he had read War and Peace. So, I assumed he'd read a comic book story of War and Peace, or it's a long book. So the movie came out, the Russian film, War and Peace, and I think it was 3.5 hours, and there was an intermission in between. So I took him to see it, and during the intermission, he was discussing the difference between the book and the film.
Wow.
So I was convinced he'd read it. I was very impressed. So, and the other thing I do remember is that he had such an incredible sense of balance. He was just a tremendous athlete. It's sort of just natural. And he went skiing, he'd ski the highest slope as soon as he got on, as though he'd been skiing all of his life. And he played football and baseball the same way. Whatever he did, he just seemed to already know how to do it. So,
and he's one of how many?
7.
He's one. Okay, and his ترتيبكم Shaykh Hamza كان?
He's the middle child.
He's the middle child. ما شاء الله أمة وسطة. ما شاء الله تبارك الله. And was he any different than the rest of his brothers, or?
My sister's
different. And the other thing, he had the most wonderful smile. When he smiled, his face lit up. It was like, the light just went on, and people loved to watch him smile. It's just an incredible, just a lightening up of his whole countenance.
And did he have any special interest in religion specifically, or in the Arabic language, or something has to do with the Middle East, or when he was growing up, or not really?
Well, I think my son used to play Arabic music, and he listened to that a lot. They used to listen to music together. Yes, and he did say that listening to the Arab music tuned his ear into the Arabic language. But they listened for hours to.
Yeah, and this was like way before you.
When I was like probably about 8 or 9. My older brother, because my older brother actually plays the oud, and he always loved Middle Eastern music. Yeah.
It was Easter week, and it was also Passover, and so they had a weekend celebrating Passover, Easter, and Islam. The weekend of Islam.
Ramadan, I think.
So I asked if he wanted to go.
It was actually Hajj, because they showed us a film on Hajj, so it was the big Eid al-Kabir.
So we went for the weekend. It was, and So
We've actually prayed
We
in the
did.
mosque. We did wudu
MashaAllah.
and prayed. Yeah. I mean, my mom's idea, she exposed us to all the different religious faiths. And even though we were, I mean, the church we went to Baptist church, we went to Unitarian church, but we were baptized Greek Orthodox. But my mom was never sectarian. She never liked the idea of well, what do you think? You kind of always...
oh. Well, I guess maybe it was organized religion.
Yeah, just the idea of having a fixed... So she...
Yeah. Well, I grew up, I actually was baptized in a Greek Orthodox church.
But my mom grew up strict Catholic.
But I grew up going to a Catholic school because there was not a Greek school. And I love Catholicism. I loved it.
Assalamu alaikum. Hi.
Yeah, this is Kathleen.
Hi.
This is
Kathleen,
my
how are
older
you?
sister.
Hi, Kaswara.
This is
How are you?
Kaswara.
How are
He's
you?
from Saudi Arabia.
Pleased to meet
So,
you.
do we want to get another chair? Yeah, okay. I mean, something I thought was really interesting, my brother pointed out when we were in New York, because Kaswara was with us protesting. When we were in New York, I called Troy, I was talking to him during the demonstration. I told him, here I am demonstrating, you know, against